For years, Dodgers and Brewers games have carried a different kind of intensity. But this time something feels different. On the surface it is just another National League matchup. Two talented teams, one series, and another chance to strengthen their position. But underneath that simple storyline is a rivalry built on pressure, playoff battles, unexpected moments, and the feeling that neither side wants to give the other even the slightest advantage. And now, with the season moving deeper into August, the question is no longer simply who will win the next game. The bigger question is whether the Dodgers can finally gain control of a matchup that has repeatedly tested them when the pressure is highest. If you follow the Dodgers, you already know how dangerous Milwaukee can be. And if you follow the Brewers, you know exactly why facing Los Angeles is never just another series. So before we get into what happened, make sure you stay until the end, and if you enjoy Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani coverage, subscribe to Baseball Pulse, because this story is only getting more interesting. The reason this matchup feels so important is simple: neither team can afford to treat the other casually. The Dodgers entered the recent series carrying enormous expectations. They have one of the most talented rosters in baseball, stars throughout the lineup, and a team built with October baseball in mind. But Milwaukee has repeatedly shown that talent alone does not guarantee an easy night. The Brewers play a different kind of baseball. They can create pressure with pitching, defense, base running, and timely hitting. They do not need to dominate every inning to change a game. Sometimes all it takes is one mistake, one big swing, or one critical defensive play. That is exactly what made the recent Dodgers-Brewers series so fascinating. The Dodgers opened the series with a 3-1 victory, giving themselves an early advantage. But Milwaukee answered back. The Brewers took the next game 4-1 behind a dominant performance from Jacob Misiorowski, who held the Dodgers to one run over 6 innings while striking out 6. That result was significant because it showed once again that Milwaukee was not intimidated by the Dodgers' star power. And that is where the rivalry becomes more than just a name, it becomes a battle of styles. The Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, and a lineup capable of changing the scoreboard in a matter of minutes. Milwaukee, meanwhile, has developed a reputation for making opponents work for everything. That contrast creates tension every time these teams meet. For Ohtani, the challenge is even more interesting. Every at-bat carries enormous attention because pitchers know what happens if they make one mistake. Ohtani does not need many opportunities. A pitch left in the wrong location can disappear almost instantly, but Milwaukee has also shown that it is willing to challenge him. That became clear during the recent matchup when Ohtani reached with an RBI triple, but the Dodgers could not capitalize on a bases-loaded opportunity later in the game. Misiorowski eventually struck out both Ohtani and Freeman to escape the threat. That moment perfectly represented what this rivalry has become. The Dodgers can create an opportunity, the Brewers can shut it down, and then suddenly the entire game changes. That is why every meeting between these teams feels like a test of patience. For Los Angeles, the biggest challenge is avoiding the stretches where the offense becomes too dependent on one or two stars. When the Dodgers are at their best, the entire lineup contributes. When they struggle, opposing teams can attack the weaknesses around their biggest names. Milwaukee understands that. The Brewers do not have to beat every Dodger individually. They simply have to keep the pressure on and wait for an opportunity. And recently they found plenty of them. After the Dodgers won the opener, Milwaukee responded strongly enough to level the season series at 3 games apiece. The Brewers' 4-1 victory was another reminder that this matchup is far from one-sided. But there was something else happening around the Dodgers at the same time. Shohei Ohtani was heating up. And when Ohtani starts finding his rhythm, the entire conversation around Los Angeles changes. Just days after the Brewers series, Ohtani exploded against Colorado, hitting 2 home runs in one game and collecting 4 hits. Those 2 home runs pushed his season total to 29. Then he did it again. On August 18th, Ohtani launched another massive home run against the Rockies, a 448-foot blast that became his 30th home run of the season. It was his 3rd home run in the first 2 games of that series. And that milestone matters. Ohtani has now reached 30 home runs for a 6th consecutive MLB season, an achievement that places him among an extremely select group of Dodgers hitters to reach that mark in multiple consecutive seasons. The bigger story is not just the number 30, it is the timing. The Dodgers are entering a stretch of the season where every series becomes increasingly important. There is less room for inconsistency, fewer opportunities to erase mistakes later, and more pressure on every player expected to contribute. And that is exactly when a player like Ohtani becomes so valuable. Because when the Dodgers need a spark, he can provide it with one swing. The Brewers, however, have already shown that they are capable of limiting that impact. That makes their rivalry fascinating. Milwaukee is not simply trying to survive against the Dodgers, they are trying to prove that they can control the game against them, and Los Angeles is trying to prove the opposite. This is why the matchup carries a playoff feel even before October arrives. There is history between these teams, but there is also something more immediate: confidence. Baseball is a game where momentum can change quickly. One win can create belief, one loss can create doubt, and when two high-level teams meet repeatedly, those emotional swings become even more important. For the Dodgers, beating Milwaukee is not only about adding another win to the standings. It is about sending a message that the Dodgers can handle elite competition, a message that their lineup can respond when opponents successfully neutralize their biggest stars. And perhaps most importantly, a message that when October arrives, they will be ready for the kind of pressure Milwaukee has already been giving them. For the Brewers, the message is just as clear: they do not need to be impressed by the Dodgers' reputation, they need to play their game. Pitch aggressively, create pressure, take advantage of mistakes, and force Los Angeles to earn every single run. That formula has already worked, and if these teams meet again when everything is on the line, those previous games will matter psychologically. Because the Dodgers will remember the moments when Milwaukee shut them down, and Milwaukee will remember the moments when Los Angeles found a way to strike back. That is what makes a rivalry dangerous. You do not simply play the opponent, you play against the memory of what happened the last time. And now, with Ohtani finding his power stroke again, the Dodgers have another weapon entering the most important part of the season. 30 home runs, 3 home runs across 2 games, and a clear reminder that even when the Dodgers are struggling, Ohtani can change the entire story with one swing. But here is the question Dodgers fans should be watching closely. Can the rest of the team match him? Because no matter how incredible Ohtani is, the Dodgers will eventually need production throughout the lineup. They will need their stars healthy, their supporting hitters consistent, and their pitching staff capable of protecting leads. The Brewers have already exposed what can happen when one part of the Dodgers' formula breaks down. Now Los Angeles has an opportunity to respond. And that is why this rivalry is becoming so important. It is not about one game. It is not even about one series. It is about finding out which team is better prepared for the pressure that comes with October baseball. The Dodgers have the star power. The Brewers have the discipline. The Dodgers have Ohtani. Milwaukee has repeatedly shown that it can make Ohtani and the rest of Los Angeles work for every opportunity, and somewhere between those two realities is where this rivalry will ultimately be decided. Because the next time these teams meet, nobody will care what happened on paper. Nobody will care who was supposed to win. The only thing that will matter is who handles the pressure better. And if Ohtani continues swinging the bat the way he has over the last few games, the Brewers may have an entirely different challenge waiting for them. The rivalry is already intense, the stakes are already rising. And with the postseason getting closer, every matchup between these two teams could become a preview of something much bigger. So the real question is no longer whether Dodgers and Brewers can produce another competitive game. They already have. The real question is what happens the next time the pressure reaches its highest point. Because if these two teams meet again when the season is on the line, this rivalry could look very different, and Shohei Ohtani may once again be standing right in the middle of it.